What's going on YouTube? I'm your host Joss. Welcome back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. Make sure you check us out on social media. Our links are down below, and hang out with me until the end of this video because I do some comment shoutouts, and that's always really fun. I am no celebrity, but I will be the first one to admit that auditions are scary. They are basically like job interviews but on crack. You have to perform under pressure, on the spot, in hopes that you'll book the role and not make a fool out of yourself. But things don't always go as planned, and even some of Hollywood's biggest stars have had a bad audition. Let's hear some of their stories with today's list of top 10 celebrity auditions gone horribly wrong. Starting off our list at number 10 is Kevin Hart for SNL. You might be surprised because you didn't know he ever auditioned for SNL, or you're surprised that he had a horrible audition because he's naturally hilarious. Like, how could he not get a job on SNL? But let's not forget that before he was the most in-demand comedian, he was just like any other up-and-coming comedian out there trying to book gigs. Years ago, he attempted to audition for SNL and it didn't go too well. As part of the audition process, actors have to play characters they've been working on, like an impersonation type act. The characters can be based on a real person or a character that the actor made up. Now, most people would probably choose someone popular to impersonate so that the casting directors would be able to see how spot on the impression was. But Kevin chose to play Avery Johnson, the San Antonio Spurs point guard. In other words, not a very well-known figure. Kevin said when he told them who he was impersonating, they just kind of looked at him like he was a little crazy. He said he did a one-line impersonation and just stood there in silence because obviously they had no idea who the guy was or if it even sounded like him.
I did an impression of Avery Johnson, okay?
What?
Exactly. You see everybody's face? I did an impression of a person that nobody knew.
And at number 9 is Ryan Reynolds for a movie he didn't name, but we know that it was a musical. Yes, there was a point in his career where he decided to venture off into the world of musicals. The actor admitted that he was never great at auditions, and whenever he had to sing, he got really nervous, so that's like a recipe for disaster. He talked about his horrible audition experience with Variety Studios, saying, "So I did an audition where I had to sing, and it was pretty bad. It's one of those auditions that was so bad that I look back and think, what if this tape surfaces at some point? That'll be the death of me." I mean, sorry Rye Guy, but I am really hoping that this tape does surface at some point. I wasn't able to find it, trust me, I looked for it, but a bad singing audition is never a good memory. And if you're wondering, he did not get the part, obviously. Coming into number 8 is Lucy Hale for 50 Shades of Grey. Oh god. I can only imagine what could go wrong at an audition for this movie. No matter what your resume looks like, nothing can prepare you for auditioning for that type of sexy movie. Lucy Hale was one of the actresses up for the lead role and says that it's an audition she will never forget. And not because it went so good. She told Cosmopolitan that it was horrible because she felt so uncomfortable. She said, "That audition was so uncomfortable, it's exactly what you thought it would be. A big monologue, but very, very sexual. There were some things that I was so embarrassed to be reading out loud, but it's one of those things where you have to commit wholeheartedly or you're just going to make a fool of yourself." Turns out she just made a fool out of herself. Honestly, I could not do that. Nope. I would start laughing, I'd feel so awkward. Definitely wouldn't get the part. Up next at number 7 is Tina Fey, who auditioned for a McDonald's commercial. She told the story of her worst audition ever on The Tonight Show. She said that she went and sat in an audition room for 2.5 hours before she was called in to read her 2 lines. That's pretty much how it goes. She felt confident because how hard is 2 lines for a McDonald's commercial when you're Tina Fey? But what made the audition so bad was that she didn't know it was actually going to be shot at a drive-thru. For those of you who don't know, Tina has a scar on one side of her face, and the way that she would be driving in the car would have the scar facing the camera. So she immediately knew that she wouldn't get picked because of it, so when they asked her to read her line, she did, but instead she said, "Hi, I'll have a Big Mac and my scar will have an orange soda." She said it was nothing but awkward for everyone in the room, and she just left the audition. She waited 2.5 hours just to do that. Swiping our number 6 spot is Dakota Johnson for a movie that is unknown. Now, she is the actress who got the lead in 50 Shades of Grey, so if she can nail that audition, I don't see how she's even on this list. But she is. She said she went to an audition that was so humiliating that she even felt embarrassed to share the story of what happened. But luckily for us, she did. She told the story when talking to The Hollywood Reporter. She said, "I had an audition and I got really into it. Got really into the scene and it was really dramatic and I took my shirt off, and you didn't have to do that. and then afterwards I had to pick my shirt off the floor and still talk to them and put it back on. It was inappropriate and also still embarrassing, and I'm more embarrassed that I just told that story. Girl, I mean, you did that to yourself. What in God's name made you think taking your shirt off would be a good idea? It clearly wasn't her 50 Shades of Grey audition where that might have been more appropriate. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Kat Dennings. We're not sure what movie it was for, but she did admit that it's one that went on to win Oscar awards. The actress says it was the most painful audition she ever did, and because it did so well, she wants it to go unnamed. However, she does tell the story on The Tonight Show explaining what had happened. Without giving too many details, she explains that she was reading the role of a daughter. In the audition scene, she was supposed to act out this big emotional meltdown where she needed to be restrained by the actor playing her father. She said the other actor was in the room with her, but for some reason he stood on the opposite end of the room and didn't participate in the audition scene. So she kinda had to think on her feet and improvise, so when it came to the restraining part, she used her own arms to restrain herself. She admits that she looked totally ridiculous and wasn't surprised when she did not get the part. She also revealed that the actor who played the father got fired, so she felt better about the whole thing.
I was testing for a movie that later went on to win Oscars that I won't name names. I was there to read for the role of a daughter with the actor, and the scene was me hysterically crying, getting restrained by my dad, and the guy I was reading with, the actor, a very famous actor, went and he stood on the complete other side of the room. So I started to read the scene and I kept looking at him hoping maybe he was just getting ready or something, but he wasn't. So I had to pretend to be restrained by him, but I was being restrained by my little lady hands.
Here we are, number 4, with Jake Gyllenhaal, who auditioned for Lord of the Rings. He's an Oscar-nominated actor, but within the walls of the industry, he's also known for being one of the worst auditionees for Lord of the Rings. Turns out he tried out for the lead role of Frodo, but his accent was nothing but a joke to the casting directors. He recalls the audition and says that he remembers going into the audition room not being told that he needed to have a British accent. That is a complete nightmare for any actor because sometimes it can take months of training to really nail down a believable accent. But regardless, he gave it a shot. He said, "I really do remember Peter Jackson, the casting director, saying to me, 'You know that you have to do this in a British accent, right?' And then when I was done, he looked at me and said, 'You are the worst actor I have ever seen.'" Yeah, that definitely means you had a horrible audition. Taking over spot number 3 is Jennire Jones for Coyote Ugly. This is another audition moment that I don't think anything could prepare you for. If you haven't seen the movie Coyote Ugly, you should. It's basically about some bartenders who dance like strippers. Like they have clothes on, but barely. So it's no surprise that the actors were required to dance in the audition process. However, the girls in the movie dance on poles, but when Jennire went into her audition, there was no pole. She tells the story saying that they asked her to pole dance without an actual pole. She calls it, I quote, "one of the worst moments of my life." She went on to say, "I just turned beet red. It was awful, and the producer said something like, 'Honey, you did a great reading, but you've got no rhythm.'" She admits that after she left the audition room, she called her agent and told her that she did not want to do it anymore. And spot number 2 is Chris Evans. Because he's such a big star, you wouldn't expect him to get nervous when going into a role, but one time he came down with a serious case of the jitters. It was when he auditioned for Ben Affleck's 2007 movie Gone Baby Gone. He recounted the entire audition process while speaking with Backstage and explained that he was nervous from the second he was walking down the hallway to the audition room. He said he heard Ben say, "There he is," and he instantly got nervous. Chris says the first thing that he said to him when he shook Ben's hand was, "Am I gonna be okay where I parked?" Yeah, that probably wouldn't be my first choice of words. What made it worse was that Ben asked him where he parked, and he said a parking meter, so Ben just looked at him and was like, "If you put money in it, I think you'll be alright." Chris explained the rest of the story saying, "From that moment on, I just wanted to get the F out of the room. I wanted to be anywhere but there. I sat down with my heart beating out of my chest. I was so mortified that I started this meeting off that way. I started giving him one-word answers. It was horrible, a complete disaster. So obviously I did not get that job." Honestly, when you're nervous, sometimes you do and say the weirdest things. It's like uncontrollable sometimes. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is MERYL Streep for King Kong. Before this video, there's no way you could convince me that the first lady of American cinema would ever have a bad at Audition. But just like anyone else in the industry, she started out as another struggling artist in New York City. When she was just 27 years old, she was called into audition for the remake of King Kong. She says the audition aspect went okay, she felt like her performance went well. What made the audition so horrible was that the producer didn't have an issue with her performance, he had an issue with her looks. She tells the story saying Dino De Laurentiis started speaking in Italian right in front of her, commenting on how ugly she was. He wasn't aware that MERYL could also speak Italian. So being the queen that she is, she said to him, "I'm sorry you think I'm too ugly for your film, but you're just one opinion in a sea of thousands and I'm off to find a kinder tide." She left the room pissed, but recalls the experience and says it was, I quote, "very sobering as a young girl." You go girl. Meryl Streep is goals. Alright, now that we've embarrassed these celebrities enough by sharing their worst audition stories, tell me down below what you think of our list. If you enjoyed it, make sure you show some love and click that thumbs up button. I'm going to end the video by doing some comment shoutouts. Dwayne Martin says, Joss is single because men are intimidated by her beauty. Well, thank you, but I don't think that's why. It might have something to do with the fact that I drink pickle juice straight from a jar. PlayStation Maverick says, back in 2014, my girlfriend dumped me the day after we went to prom together and it was by text. Yikes, what did you do? Just kidding, that's brutal. Prep for it says, hey Jocelyn, what is the nicest, most heartfelt text you ever received? Honestly, my favorite is probably a message from my dad saying how proud he is of me. I love all the messages I get from my dad. Michelle Carter says, Jocelyn, come on, you are a classier, prettier, smarter, and much less satanic than Kim Kardashian. You have all kinds of chance to find real love. Hashtag don't give up. You guys are the sweetest. I just want to keep you in my pocket so I can hear all your messages all day. Hashtag don't give up. Like, I'm just like, this is so sad and pathetic. Well, that's it you guys, that is all I have. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and just stay on the screen if you want to keep watching more videos. An icon will appear right over here. Just click it, it's that easy. I'm your host Joss, I will see you next time.